Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and followers of devilish directions. It is I, Aleister Crowley III, Deputy of Common Sense, and your demonic dictator of satanic speeches. Today is a different kind of video, as I will be reading a conversation I had over Christmas on my response to S.J. Thompson. If you want to see how it went, stay tuned. Be back in a tick. Renfield, launch the intro. There is nothing wrong with your browser. Do not attempt to refresh the page. We are now controlling all that you see and hear. We control the horizontal and the vertical. We can delude you with 1,000 videos, or expand one single frame to crystal clarity and beyond. We can shape your vision to anything our imagination can design. We shall control all that you perceive until we see fit to release you. You are about to experience the depths of depravity that reach from the folly of human pursuits to the Deputy of Common Sense. Please stand by. So, I get comments on various videos, and for the most part, they've been pleasant. This guy was different. He goes by Johnny Olson. Whether that's his real name, I can't say. However, this was extremely entertaining, so I thought I'd read it on air. Here goes. Johnny, why do you presuppose intelligence? Now right there I knew he had an agenda. But I thought, hey, why don't I play with my food before snapping its neck like a twig? So I responded with, I don't. There's no evidence for it, so I don't believe in it. I'd be open to admitting a God existed if it was proven empirically that he did. However, as you'll see in my upcoming response to Shock of God, that matters very little to the idea that I might be converted. That simply won't happen for reasons that I've espoused before and will do again in my response to Shock. If you want my opinion on the morality of religion, I suggest you check out my responses to Reasonable Faith and PragerU. Regardless, the universe merely exists because of circumstances. A creator is unnecessary, and no, I cannot explain how the universe came to be. That's not my field of study. I'm not an astrophysicist, although I am flattered that you think I am. If you really want a decent answer to that, I recommend the book Origins by Neil deGrasse Tyson. It's a good place to start, and it's relatively easy to understand. Sorry that I couldn't be of any more help. He wasn't impressed, so he latched on to the only part of my argument he could even hope to refute and quoted it back at me. The universe merely exists because of circumstances. Again, you presuppose our existence is some sort of accident. Why? I was amused by this response, so I continued to humor him. I reply with, no, I don't. I'm saying that as of now, that's the only explanation I have. I don't know what caused the universe to come into being, however, that doesn't make God the default answer. I'm not making a claim about the universe, I'm saying that I don't know. You are making the claim that God is responsible. The burden of proof is on you to provide evidence that God is real, and that he created the universe. It is not my responsibility to prove that he doesn't exist. You can't prove a negative, it's logically impossible. Prove God exists, or stop wasting my time by attempting to lure me into a William Lane Craig trap. I saw that coming a mile away, and I'm not going to be baited into a false dichotomy. There are more answers than just random chance and God. I am not scientifically qualified to explain them. Regardless, God is not the default answer when science hasn't explained something. That's the God of the gaps fallacy, as I'm sure you know. If you really want a genuine answer to your question, read the book I mentioned. Of course, he's still not impressed. And why should he be? It's not as if he's actually looking for an honest answer. That's ridiculous. So he ignores the part about the burden of proof and tries to get me with this. Of course you are responsible for what you believe. And if God is not a worthy explanation for what is, then you are claiming that you have a better explanation. I'm all ears, friend. At this point, I've grown rather bored with the conversation, so I let him have it. I hit him with the full force of my argument. You've missed the point, or are deliberately ignoring it. I suspect the latter. My explanation is simple. It is that I don't have an explanation. At least not one that I'm qualified to speak about. Do you know what the God of the Gaps fallacy is? It's when there's a gap in scientific knowledge and some nosy theist tries to say, "Aha! That means it must be God! Checkmate, atheists!" It doesn't work that way. Atheism is not the statement of there is no God. Like I said, you cannot prove that God doesn't exist. That's proving a negative, and it's impossible. However, just because I cannot prove that God doesn't exist, does not mean that he does exist. It simply means that I can't prove that he doesn't. And I'd wager 100 quid that you can't scientifically prove that he does. If I had evidence of God, I'd retract my atheism. That would not make me a Christian, though. All that would do is give me another enemy to destroy. I'd spend my last breaths on earth cursing your God. Not because of anything he's done to me or my life. This isn't personal. I'd fight him the same way I'd fight Hitler or Stalin. God is the Michael Jordan of Hitlers. His body count is in the trillions. Why on earth would I worship him? You see, you not only have to prove to me that God exists, you have to prove that I should worship him instead of gathering a council of war. TLDR, if you're trying to convert me, you're wasting your energy. If you want an honest answer on why I don't believe in God, it's because I've seen no proof that he exists. And just because I don't have an answer to fill the gap, doesn't mean you can shove God in there. There's also the neutral position of I do not know how the universe came to be. Oh, one more thing. I realize my statements here might cause you to ask the question, why do you hate God? And my answer to that is, how can I hate something that doesn't exist? I've seen God's Not Dead too. That movie isn't a refutation of atheism. It's a refutation of the idea that Rice Brooks has a functioning brain. I'm gonna enjoy my Mythmas. I bid you good day. And he fired back with a response that gave me the biggest Cheshire Cat grin I've ever had on my face. He goes, "You're a Satanist. You are aware of that, right?" At this point, I'm just sitting there trying not to freak out my family by laughing like an escaped mental patient. So when I finally calm down, I just respond with complete scorn and mockery. This is what I said. Yeah. You think I worship something that I think doesn't exist. I'm real broken up about that. If you're upset by that little speech, enjoy my new video. Or don't. Regardless, it goes up in 2 hours and God still doesn't exist. Also, neither does Satan. Go play with your imaginary friends. At which point, he drops all pretense of civility and shows his true colors. He responds with, "You're playing with fire, motherfucker. Repent." Not even the slightest bit threatened by this, I end the conversation in true deputy fashion. My final reply reads thus: "Blah, blah, yap, yap, dribble, dribble, dribble." And then I went off to open presents with my family. And that was that. So, wasn't that interesting? I'd say it was a very sad attempt at Christian apologetics by an imbecile. It's also a very real lesson for those trying to argue online. One's channel size is by no means an indicator of one's skill at what they do, nor is it indicative of their intelligence. Be careful who you attack. They might just be smarter than you realize, and you might seriously regret your decision. Well, I hope you enjoyed this very short look into my interactions with detractors. We'll leave things off here. I'm the Deputy of Common Sense. I dispense swift justice to those who aren't so swift. And to my dear friend, Johnny Olson, wherever he might be, thank you for an extremely entertaining Christmas. And God still isn't real. Have a lovely day.
Ah, lad, I mean this in the nicest of ways. But there's a word for what you are, and that word is, now let's see, dork? No, wait, that's not right. Not a dork,
A goofball?
closer, but no.
A ding-a-ling! Wingnut!
A knucklehead McSparzatron!
Okay, that's enough.